Yeah, it feels like a new season. There's been quite a bit of a break there, hasn't it? So yeah, it feels like a whole new thing.
Does it feel like one for you as well? Like, I guess doing press for a second run in this kind of
It
thing?
does. It feels like a whole starting up again. You know, here I am in LA doing lots of interviews today, and I was in New York last week. So it does give that. For me, although it doesn't feel like that when we're filming it, we film it without a break, so it's full on. But it does feel like you get two bites of it. Yeah, it's great, but also...
Sorry, finish.
It's also, it's a great time to take stock and people are enjoying the show. So it's great to get that feedback as we're going along,
Yeah, when did you wrap shooting? It must have been a while ago then.
Yeah, we wrapped in late October, early November, I think. Yeah.
Oh, so not too long ago. Okay. So you were you were still shooting while the first run was going on.
Yeah, the first two, I think. Maybe I was still in, I think it was the first two, we were still shooting. Yeah.
Oh, so that would be like network TV. That's interesting. I didn't realize cable did that as well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, because it's 16 episodes. So yeah.
Right. Well, let's just get into it because I know you've been directing lately, and I'm always curious when I talk to someone who's been behind the camera and how that's changed their sensibility when they're in front of the camera. Has being behind and directing shifted the way maybe you approach acting, or vice versa?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I've been directing for a while now, and when I first started, it was very much, for me, I love working with actors, but it made me a better actor. I think that you understand what everybody's job is on that film set, not just your own. That you're much more used to seeing the film or the TV show as a whole thing, the whole creative sense of your part and what you're doing and your responsibility. So it made me aware of the whole machine, and that's no bad thing. That other people have work to do, and they're there to get their part of the machine right. And also from a post-production point of view, I'd suddenly learned what a director was asking for and why they were asking for it and why they needed certain angles and certain shots and so it was it gave me more of an understanding of the process of the whole thing, and that's no bad thing for any actor to have.
Does it take you almost out of the scene when you're trying to play the scene, even when you're not directing, but just thinking about all the other stuff? Has it changed the way you maybe...
No, I mean, the great thing about it is when you're directing, you have to think about everything. You just have to think about everything. It's all on you. And that is I love it. I mean, I love every aspect of it. But what's great about having directed, coming back to acting, you realize that you only have one responsibility, which is your bit. And that gives you a concentration. So, when I'm acting, having directed, I know that it's none of my business to go over and talk to the lighting man, or it's none of my business to go over and talk to the singer. And I like that fact that that's not on me. All I have to do is look at. I have appreciation for those roles, but I'm not the conductor of the orchestra. I'm really just playing the strings. It's that thing. That's my responsibility. And no, it's very liberating actually, having been on the other side of the camera.
Is there something you prefer at this point in your life that you see a trajectory going?
I really enjoy working with writers. I enjoy the process before. The thing about being an actor is that you come into the process late. The script is written usually, and the sets have been chosen, and your wife has been cast. Sometimes all those things are already done. And you also leave the process early. You go away and then they edit it, put music on it. So what I like about directing is you see a project through from A to Z. You're absolutely there at the beginning because I produce as well. Mm-hmm. So usually what I'm doing is working with writers or buying books and then getting scripts out of that, from the blank page. Then casting it myself, then getting the sets myself, and casting it, and getting people to sort of do that for me and my vision, and then you go off and you edit it and put the music on it yourself and the sound edit. So you're seeing something right from the beginning to the end, and I like that journey that you make creatively. It's much more creatively satisfying that journey for me, and I love acting. I am an actor. But from a director's point of view, I do like the enormity of that journey.
Well, talking about the enormity, I mean, the way I hear you rehearse for a role and prepare for a role is extremely meticulous, and there's a lot of preparation, and I love that because it's almost the way I prepare for an interview. I go into a lot of preparation before I talk to someone to get to know who they are, and it seems like you work that way a lot before choosing a character.
I do, because it gives me more options. It gives me, the more I sort of do research and do backstory and sort of find out psychological profile of characters I'm playing and find out some sort of, I try to put my characters on some sort of psychiatrist's couch and ask questions of them about their past and what their foibles are. That gives me more options as I'm playing it. Means that as I'm playing it, I get to know when I'm doing something wrong or it doesn't feel right. When I'm being asked to do something I think this doesn't feel my character wouldn't do. And that's important for me, that I know where his energy is and where his foibles are. The things that you're frightened of, I wouldn't necessarily be frightened of. The things that make you laugh mightn't make me laugh. The people that you're attracted to, I mightn't be attracted to. So there's what you're trying to do is, where does that come from? Particularly in something like The Walking Dead, which is built on fear. It's a world of fear, and it's a world of very delicate psychological breakdown of people, that they're living in a very dangerous world, and that can have a really challenging effect on them, and it's about who survives. And not necessarily all the time, if you look at a peaceful situation, you might think, God, I want to be with that guy when the chips come down. He's such a leader. He's such a great fighter. But when the chips come down, he might be the first guy who runs like hell. And there'll be another guy who you think, God, I didn't think he'd step up. And you don't know until you're challenged in those situations. It's like a sport analogy. You'll see someone in the practice net, hitting great tennis balls, and they're fantastic. You put them out in front of the crowd, they can't hit a thing. And another guy he's okay on the practice court, but when you get him into the challenging situation of, he's at match point, he's got the balls to bring it through, and you can't really second-guess character until you're tested, and that's the thing for me, is making sure I have all the psychological breakdown of my characters, that I know what will happen. And that means, for me, sometimes people say to me, but isn't that too rigid? But actually what it does is it gives me more surprises. It surprises me because it's giving me more options rather than less, and more colors, I think. That's the important thing, is it makes me more three-dimensional.
Do you think we'll see more of the governor's backstory from the actual novel in the second half of the season?
You won't see it, but it will. I think things will be revealed. I mean, we don't work in the world of flashback, so there won't be any sort of, there are no scenes that suddenly perpetuate you back into a time before the event and anything like that. But I think you see more of him, more of the reason why he is like he is, and I think that's important to me, of seeing a man and the reasons why he's behaving in the way he is.
Sure, and one of those, I guess, touching scenes was you after the loss of your daughter. We watched the episode this morning just in preparation for this, and it's such a different side to that character than we had seen up until that point. This caring man who loves his daughter but doesn't know what to do, and it's. Can you talk about preparing for a scene like that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was always that scene. Just was the heart and soul of him, really. I think what's interesting about the governor is that he lost his wife before the zombie apocalypse. He lost it. His wife died in a car crash. And so, I'd imagine that when that happened to this man, any father would have to sit down with his child and try to explain that loss and get through that loss with his child. And I can imagine someone saying at that point, it's you and I now, darling. It's you and me. It's just you and me, and Daddy's going to look after you. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. That we can help each other, and that she can help in his time of grief, and he can help her. That there is a bonding between father and child because of that tragedy, which is total. So that when this terrible thing happens and she becomes a walker, he's not going to give her up. She's still his daughter. She's still full. He's made promises to this girl. He's made, he's talked about the future with her and promised that he will never let her go. And that's the promise he's trying to fulfill when he's combing her hair or singing her lullabies. And it's tragic for him, so that when she's absolutely taken away from him in such a brutal way, then he's in trauma. And I think part of where we're going in the season is we're seeing a man who is really in a terrible, traumatic situation, and the little bit of the humanity that he had is closing down very rapidly. He is angry at the world and wants revenge for what the world has done for him. And from a psychological point of view, that really makes sense to me, and we see that a lot, that people want payback for what the world has done for them, whether it's real or imagined. And that is a very dangerous person. The most dangerous person is someone who has nothing to lose. And I feel that the governor is, if Andrea and Milton possibly don't grab hold of him and remind him of what his humanity was, he can become a very dangerous man very quickly because he's lost everything.
Yeah. And lost his eye, for that matter. How was getting used to acting with an eye patch on?
Yeah, that was quite strange. I mean, that took me by surprise. I just thought, okay, that'll be fine. Yeah, I can do that. And then, but what it does is it sort of, it gives you headaches. But it also gives you a completely different sensory perception. You lose your depth of field. It gives you a different posture. He's also, he's not living in the middle of Beverly Hills, so he's not going to get some nice eye surgery to make it all scar and nice and sort of, choose colours of glass eyes and stuff. He's going to wear that scar. So he's a marked man. And I think, it's something he's carrying as a badge of honor now. There's something that's who he is. The world has done this to me. This is who I am. And I find it's a medieval thing, that you wear your scars proudly. You wear your scars, and that's who you are. And also the fact that he has a scar. For him, all it means is that he's still alive. A scar isn't. It's not going to. It's about, in this world, it's about being alive or being dead, and he is still alive, and that's very important for him. And he's still alive, and the person who attacked his daughter is still alive. So that's where he's got to go.
So we'll see some vengeance, I guess, towards her. Is there going to be a showdown? I guess there's going to have to be with Rick and the other group as well.
I think, there's definitely the stars are aligned for these two communities to come onto some sort of collision course. But I think how you get there is very surprising. I think what's really good about the season is, so far, is that sense that the similarities between Rick and the governor are quite apparent, I think. A lot of season 2 took Rick. Rick spent a lot of season 2 debating whether to kill a man. Morally, was this the right thing? Whereas in season 3, he kills someone in the blink of an eye, very quickly. He just throws him out into the walkers as soon as he arrives at the prison. It's a different man we're seeing now. The world is brutalizing these people, and it's about that thing. And when Michonne turns up at the prison, Rick doesn't open the gates and make her a cup of coffee. He absolutely beats the shit out of her and wants to know what's going on. He's a product of the world he lives in, and so are all these people. There's an element that nice guys come second. And they've got to get brutalized. So I think going forward, and the idea that these two communities are on a collision course, how they play with it, how we play with it in the second half of the season is, I think, quite surprising, rather than sort of, let's go to war. There's other levels to it to be played out, I think.
Given the way the comic book goes, now, granted, the show is kind of phased off into its own realm, but knowing likely at some point you're going to get that script that says, okay, this is the end for you. what's that like as an actor, knowing, like, you've gone into the role knowing eventually it's gonna, and don't say whether or not this happens in the second half of the season or not, but.
Well, I think what's great about the show, I think one of the great things about the show is that no one is safe. It's not a show that's frightened of killing off its big characters. You see that with Shane and Laurie and stuff. And, it's not a show where you have the Star Trek moments of, three the lead actors being down and there's one guy you've never seen before and you think, I don't think he's going to make it back to the Enterprise. People we know and we love and we've seen and who are leading actors on the show, leading characters, and that gives it the frisson, I think, from an audience point of view, is that nothing is safe. And I mean, I love the show. I think it's a great show, and I love it. And I never want to, I want to live as long as possible. But all the actors, all of us, are aware, like life, that there's a ticking clock on us. That we, the next script that gets delivered, we might be the one. And I think that gives it, particularly from an audience point of view, it gives it a reality and a show that is pitched in such a heightened world. The reality that they go through is very strong. One of those realities is the fact that no one is safe. You can't look at an actor and think, oh, we're never going to kill him off, because they might, or her off, or whatever. And I think that gives it a choice on the audience.
Would you do?
Sorry to interrupt, Matt. Sorry to interrupt. Can you make this the last question?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we do something called 5 questions, 5 quick questions, 1-word answers.
Yes.
Hitchcock or Kubrick?
Hitchcock.
Lennon or McCartney?
Lennon.
Your biggest influence as an actor?
The Everyman in Liverpool.
Role you're most proud of?
Macbeth.
And in 1 word, The Walking Dead.
Oh, gosh. 1 word, The Walking Dead. Tension.
Oh, that's a good one. Amazing. Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you.